Dad's gonna sous vide a ribeye steak. When it comes to steaks, Dad got this. So the other day, Dad cooked a steak using the reverse sear method. This was for everybody who told me, I don't have an immersion circulator. I don't have your tools. Well, I did a video to show you how to cook a steak without them. And it was a little bit of an annoyance for Dad. I didn't hit the exact perfect temperature I wanted, and the steak was a tiny bit overdone for me. That's just because you can't get it perfect every time using the oven method, because there's resting times and there's all different kinds of stuff that is going to cause the food to cook more after you take it out, and it's a pain. Dad, remember, he could eliminate all of that by just using an immersion circulator and cooking the steak sous vide. So, I've already done picanha. Now I'm going to do sous vide ribeye. There's a little bit of a difference. Dad cooks his ribeye at a lower temperature and for less time, because the picanha is a little bit harder and tougher cut of meat. It doesn't have the intramuscular fat that the ribeye does. So it needs a little bit higher temperature and a little bit longer cook to get perfectly tender. The ribeye, on the other hand, has lots of intramuscular fat and is pretty tender to start with. So really all you're doing is temping it and then searing it. So Dad cooks his ribeyes at about 1:30 if he's cooking them for himself, for about an hour and a half, 2 hours max, and they come out perfect every time. I'll sear it in the exact same pan that I seared the reverse sear steak, and I'll use the same method. And you're gonna see the difference in the steak. It's night and day. Dad loves sous vide steak. Dad only cooks sous vide steak from now on. I did one for you guys, took one for the team, and I made that video. Go check it out, I'll put the link above. But now we're gonna do steak the best way you can at home. And that's using your immersion circulator and sous vide. Okay. First step, we need some spices. Take your spice shaker. We'll keep it simple. Some onion powder. And some garlic powder. You need a steak. One ribeye. Notice the intramuscular marbling. That's what's gonna make this thing juicy and tender and delicious. Go ahead and hit it up. Since this steak's just for Dad, Dad can get it peppery. Some sea salt. You want to use a coarse salt. A coarse salt is better for seasoning meats and steaks than your table salt. Your fine table salt just doesn't do it right. It's not a good idea. And you can be pretty liberal with salt on a sous vide steak. A lot of it gets washed off when you do the searing method. Next, just kind of pat it in a little bit. Don't rub it, pat it. Flip it over. Shake. Pepper. And salt. Pop it in. Thing we need, container to cook in, an immersion circulator. Dad goes over what these are in another video where I review this Innova circulator. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link above. We need water. Plug it in. Set our temperature to 130 degrees. And hit start. 1 standard Ziploc bag. Gallon size freezer. Take it and do the fold inside. Grab your steak. And it goes. Now that the water has come up to temp, we're going to go ahead and do our water method for sealing our steak. Take your steak, slowly lower it down into the water. Slowly lower it down into the water. And that, see how that pushes all the air out of the bag? And now, you can seal your bag. Your steak is pretty well sealed. It's not a perfect airtight vacuum, but for cooking a steak, it'll do just fine. And then Dad likes to go ahead and give it a clip. That's it. We're gonna go ahead and set a timer for 2 hours and let this sucker cook. It's been 2 hours. Steak's done. We're gonna have to pull it out. Now it's time to just pat it dry.
This part's really important because if you don't pat the steak dry, you're not going to get a good crust on it because you're going to waste all the effort of the heat boiling off the moisture from the steak.
This particular steak didn't lose that much moisture. That's all that was in the bag. That means all the juices are still in the steak.
Searing is really simple. Get a cast iron or stainless steel pan, fill it with some oil, and put it over a burner. And get it hot. I mean like devil hot. Put your steak in and flip it every 30 to 45 seconds continuously until you develop the crust you're looking for. You can add some butter and baste with the butter as you go, and that's going to add an even deeper brown crust to it and some extra flavor from the butter. Whatever you do, just make sure you don't go over about 3 to 4 minutes worth of time, because the longer you're in the pan, the longer you're cooking the steak past that perfect temperature that you worked so hard to get using sous vide. This is the only way you can actually overcook a sous vide steak, is during the searing process. You can flip it as much as you want and as often as you want. Don't worry about that. It's not going to undercook anything. It actually causes a better crust to form the more you flip it. Once you're done, pull the steak and you're ready to enjoy it. There's no need to rest your meat with sous vide. You can go straight from the pan to eating. I can already hear it in the comments. You're going to see the steak and you're going to look at it and go, oh man, he overcooked it. That's not medium rare. As steak is cut and exposed to oxygen, the color will fluoresce and turn more red. Now take a look at that. That's a perfectly cooked steak. There's barely any gray band around the outside, and it is perfect. It's tender, it's juicy, and it is probably the best steak you're going to have. The nice thing about sous vide is you can actually cook this to a higher temperature if you wanted. You could make it medium, and it would still be tender and juicy. It's a fantastic way. It's the only way to cook steak in Dad's opinion. I can't express how good this steak was. I almost didn't get the steak to the plate for the photos for the blog because I just kept tasting it as I was cutting it because it was so tender and so juicy. Ribeye steak sous vide, you have to try.
For more recipes and videos, visit dadgotthis.com. To be sure you don't miss anything, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the damn bell. I double dog dare you. Come on, you have to do it. It was a double dog dare. I mean, those are the rules.